So if you have problems with course policies and headers, you have come to the right place. In this video, I'll try to show how to add these rules in the nginx level inside the nginx configuration. So stick with me to find out more about this. Hello and what's up guys, Medium Guy here. I hope you're learning more day by day, and also I hope you're enjoying my videos in my channel. I'll be glad if you have problems in anything and you want me to make a video about it. So if you have, just go ahead and ask me in the comments section. So actually in this video we're going to see how to add course headers inside the nginx configuration file and manage domains that can access to our web services. So basically these headers can be set in many places, like for example inside the backend service that is written by the backend developers, and also we can set these headers inside the reverse proxy levels and API gateways. So I have a video on how to use and add the course plugin to the Kong API gateway, so I'll put the link down below if you want to watch it. And also in this video we'll see how to add and manage the domains in the nginx reverse proxy. So without any delay, let's get down to work. So as always, I have an echo server running on a random port. So in its defined port, if I go to Chrome and make a request, I'll see that it echoes whatever request that I make to it. And using nginx, I want to add an upstream and proxy the requests to this echo server using the nginx. So in my repository directory, which also I'll put the link down below, I've created an nginx directory, and inside this I want to bring up an nginx instance using Docker and Docker Compose file. So I'm going to create my Docker Compose file. So the first thing I'll say nano docker compose.yaml. I'll hit enter, and inside this I'll just try to keep it as simple as possible. So basically I'll create a service and I'll use the nginx image, and I'll try to first bring it up in its default mode, and then I'll try to mount a configuration file so my services will be up and running and be accessible through the nginx. So I've copied a simple configuration for the Docker Compose file to bring up an nginx using a Docker image, which is the nginx official image, and I've mapped a port to the port 80 inside the container, so I'll be able to access the nginx's default port. So if these are a little bit complicated, I've got videos about Docker and Docker Compose, so I'll recommend you go watch them. And if you are already okay with this, just let's move to the next steps. So I'll hit Ctrl X, Y, enter to save the file, and in here all I need is say Docker Compose up. So I'll hit enter and it'll try to create nginx as a Docker container, and I'll be able to access it on the port 9999. So if I go to Chrome, in here if I hit refresh, I'll see that I can access the nginx's default page because I have given it no configuration file. So my nginx is ready and up and running, and the next thing I'm going to add a configuration and add an upstream and point it to my backend server, which is an echo server running on a defined port. So switching back to the terminal, I'll hit Ctrl C. I'll try to create a nginx.conf file. I'll hit enter and try to add an HTTP block. At the end, I'll try to add the events block also. It'll be empty. And inside the HTTP block, I'll try to define my upstream and server blocks. So I'll say upstream. I'll give it a name. So I'll pass a random name. Next, I'll say server, and I'll pass the IP and port to the upstream server. So if I go to Chrome, I can copy it from here and paste it over here. And next I'll try to create a server block. So I'll say server, I'll add the listen port, which the nginx will try to listen on it. So I'll say listen on port 9999. Next I'll add a location. So I'll say location slash, and inside this, of course, I'm going to add a proxy pass to the upstream that I declared up above. So I'll say proxy underline pass http app, and this will try to proxy the slash location to the upstream server that I declared up above. So if I try to test this, I'll hit Control X, Y enter, and in here again I'll try to say docker compose up, and if I move to the Chrome in the port 9999, because I haven't yet mounted the nginx configuration to inside the container, it is still showing me the default page. So if I go back to the docker compose file, in here I'll try to add a volumes section, and I'll try to mount the ./nginx.conf to inside the container in the pass etc nginx/nginx.conf. So if I save the file and again say docker compose up, so in here it throws an error. I have a typo inside my nginx.conf file. So in the events I have a mistake, so again I'll save it and say docker compose up and go back to Chrome and hit refresh, and again I have a mistake in the docker compose file. I've mapped the 9999 port to the 80 port inside the container, and as in the nginx.conf I added a listen on port 9999, so I need to update my docker compose file also and map the 9999 to the 9999 inside the container. So this time I hope everything works correctly, and if I refresh, yes, finally I can see that the nginx reverse proxy has successfully proxied the pass slash to the upstream server, which is running in a different port. So if I hit refresh, I'll be able to make more requests. So we reached the part that I want to add the course policies. So in here I have a website that is served on HTTP, and I'll try to make some requests to the nginx and see the results. So in the console section, if I say fetch, I pass the IP port of the nginx service, and if I hit enter, in here I see that the request from the origin has been blocked by the course policy. So the thing I can do is that I go to the nginx.conf file and add this website as a course header, so this website will be able to make requests from its domain to our service. So I'll just copy this website's URL and go back to the configuration file. I'll hit Ctrl C in here. I'll try to nano the nginx.conf, and in the proxy pass section I'll try to add a line. So basically in here I'm trying to add an header which is access control allow origin, and I am passing the website that I want to allow the requests from. So if I hit Ctrl X, Y enter, I'll hit docker compose up, and if I try to make a request from that domain once again, if I hit enter, I see that the request has the status of 200, and also in the response headers I have an access control origin header which is set to exactly the same domain that I'm making the requests from. So if I check the previous request, in here there is no header related to the course policies. So if we want to allow access to all the origins, all the URLs, all domains, we can easily set the value of the header to a simple star, which means everything. If I hit save and Docker compose up again, so I'll try to make another request, and this time also the response has successfully come from the server. And if I check the access control origin, it is set to star, so basically I'll be able to make requests from any origins. So there is one thing I want to tell before I end this video, that is what to do when we want to allow course policies to more than one domain, but we don't want to allow for every domain which is star. So basically when we add domains to the nginx.conf, it'll try to allow access only for that domain, and we won't be able to make requests from other domains. So if I go back to the nginx.conf file, in here I'll remove the star and paste the domain again, and I'll hit save and Docker compose up. So basically this domain is able to make the requests and get the responses. But here I have another domain that I want to make requests from. If I hit enter, again I'll see that the course policies are not set to this domain, and this domain won't be able to make requests to our services. So in order to give access to more than one domain but not to every domain that exists, in the nginx.conf file we have to somehow define to the nginx that we want to allow access only for some domains that we want. So if I switch to the nginx.conf file, I'll try to add a hash sign before that line to make that line comment so that nginx will ignore it, and I'll try to add some rules over here. So basically what I'm doing in here is I have a if statement, and in here I want to detect if my HTTP origin, which is exactly the domain, the IP or whatever that the request is coming from. So if the HTTP origin matches this pattern, it will try to add the header with the HTTP origin, which is exactly the domain or the IP that the request is coming from. So basically in here, the pattern has the HTTP at its beginning and an S followed by a question mark. So the question mark means that the S can exist or not, so it is optional. Some domains might be served on HTTP and some others will be served on HTTPS. So it has a colon / after that, and inside this we have our first domain and a pipe, and next we have our second domain. So basically if the HTTP origin is coming from the HTTP or HTTPS info.cern, or it comes from the HTTP www.columbia.edu or HTTPS, it will try to add a course header with the exact same domain that the request is coming from. So again, I'll hit Ctrl X, Y enter, and Docker compose up. So I'm now expecting to be able to make requests from the both domains. So the first domain, I'll hit enter, and in here I'll get my response. If I check the headers section, I see that the access control allow origin header is set to exactly same origin, the same domain that I'm making the request from. And if I go to the second domain, I make another request. Again, I see that I get my response, and inside the header section, I see that the domain matches exactly the same domain that I'm making the request from the second website. So that's all for this video. I hope you learned something new. If you have any questions, just go ahead and ask me in the comment section down below. I'll try to put all the links to the down below so you'll be able to access them easily. Again, if you want me to go deeper in this, just go ahead and ask me in the comment section down below. Also, don't forget to watch my other videos, and with that, I hope to see you in the next videos.